So a lot of times when I'm bank fishing, I like to bring multiple rods so that I can have a little bit of everything rigged and ready to go. And in this case, this is a pretty good example. I've got my Z-Man TRD craw with a 1/8 jig head. These are jigs that I make myself. And then I've got a whopper plopper, top water, and a spinner. I can re-rig any of these and change little details up, but that way I can have a spinner rod ready, I can have some top water ready, and have something that I can work off the bottom with, like the jig, and that makes it a lot easier to find fish, locate fish, see what they're biting, and adjust from there. So by the time I leave, at least one or two of these will be something different probably, but that's a good starting lineup for this spot that I'm fishing, pond for bass. Alright, so I just worked the whole bank line from here all the way down to there with this without a single bite. I didn't see any fish or any action. So that tells me a couple different possible things. One, the fish are not in the shallows like I thought they might be. Two, they just don't like this presentation right now. Maybe a reaction bait will work better. So when they don't like, the first offering, think why and adjust. So I'm thinking I'm going to have a better chance of getting a reaction strike now as opposed to a more subtle, slow-moving presentation. So I'm going to switch over to this spinner. That vibration will cause them to hone in on it more. And also it's easier to work deeper water with the spinner. So we're going to give that a try and see what that gets us. Alright, so I just worked my way all the way across with the spinner, not so much as a bite, so it's time to go try something else now. So I'm going to change profiles and colors. I'm going to try this white and chartreuse paddle tail, chartreuse with the orange tip jig. This is one of my jigs that I made. So something like this, you want to make sure the hook's coming out the back and reverse that. So stick it like through the mouth of the imaginary fish / lure. Slide that up on the hook, trying to keep it straight as much as possible. And then make sure your hook's coming out the middle of the back of the, in this case, fish. Often I use a worm or a craw. Kind of made him look derpy. That ripped his eyeball off. That should do the trick though. Let's see if this gets us a bite. Alright, so I worked the whole bank with this guy. No action there as well. So we're going to try something else. I kind of don't think the whopper plopper is actually going to be great today. I'll probably give that a try, but at this point I've tried 4 different lures, no action, covering lots of ground. So that tells me that the fish aren't really feeding today, or at least not right now at this point in time. So this is when I like to look to my technology and see what I can figure out. Check my bass forecast. 6.7, so it's not bad. Let's check the barometric pressure. It's high, and it's just gone up. Okay, This is weird. Conditions should be really good based on the barometric pressure and the lunar phases, which is what I was basically checking with the bass forecast. I'm just now exiting the hot window. This was the hot window based on the lunar phase. So I just fished like the best part of the day basically, according to lunar phase, and barometric pressure is high and has recently risen. However, we just got 2 straight days of rain. Everything's flooded. That's why I'm pond fishing instead of fishing the river right now, because the river right now is not fishable at all. Super flooded. So all of that rain must have pushed the fish into deeper water, because I'm not seeing any on the shoreline. So that tells me I should be working in deeper water. However, in this particular pond, it's kind of shallow and weedy, so it's hard to get lures down deep without just getting them hung up. So I'm going to try a few more things, see if we can make anything happen. But I'm doing all the right things. Sometimes the weather just doesn't cooperate. Sometimes the fish just aren't in a mood to feed. So next up, I'm going to throw this whopper plopper. This is a top water with a spinning paddle tail. I just caught my first whopper plopper fish a couple days ago, but its reputation precedes itself as a fantastic bass fishing lure. So I'm gonna give that a try since nothing else is working. The one fish that I caught on this was really close to shore, going really slow. So if you can see that, that kind of an action, you just want a little bubble trail behind you. You can go faster, more disturbance. I see a lot of guys just rip topwater baits really fast, so don't be afraid to do that. The other thing you can do with these is kind of rip them. So you can yank it. You gotta keep the rod tip down to do that with these. So if I just kind of plop this out here, I can just twitch, and that creates a really big, violent disturbance on the water. So those are kind of your main options. That one doesn't tend to work for me thus far and causes things like that to happen. So I kind of rolling with just that steady retrieve for now. But with any lure, if you're retrieving it one way and it's not working, try something else, Like my jig that I was just working a minute ago, I was mostly casting and retrieving, but I tried, jigging it a little bit also. Sometimes you can have the right lure and just be fishing it wrong. Oh, I also find that this lure works best if you keep your rod tip up. Keeps the nose out of the water and the paddle down, and it gets a better action that way. Oh, dang it. That was the first fish bite of the day. He didn't even hit it, he missed. Since he missed, I'm gonna be able to get a second chance. I'm gonna do exactly what I just did again. That's not exactly what I just did. I put it in a different spot. It was a nice fish. Big bass. Okay, so there's two things I can do now. I just had a fish go for my whopper plopper right here in front of me. So I can either keep trying the whopper plopper here, or maybe try a different color whopper plopper. I'm probably going to stick with the whopper plopper now that I've had a bite. But if I don't get one in the next few minutes, I'm going to go back and grab a different lure and drop it down right where I saw that bass hit. So, let's see what happens. Alright, so in a situation like this, when you work long and hard to get a bite, and you finally find a fish, you don't want to abandon that fish. You want to work that fish harder. So I know that fish is right within this little area, unless it swam away. So I'm going to try and drop some other lures in there and see if I can make him bite. Now that I know where he is, I'm going to try this TRD craw again that I started with, because this is really good for just plopping down next to these clumps of algae and whatnot. No luck so far getting a follow-up hit. I'm gonna try this stick worm on the Ned rig head. If that doesn't work, I'm gonna go with just a hook to keep it neutrally buoyant. Still has a nice slow fall to it. So I couldn't get a follow-up bite from that fish, so I'm gonna go back to the lure that got the original bite. At this point, I'm guessing they are more likely to have a reaction strike than a feeding type of behavior, because they don't really seem to be feeding so much as that fish reacted to this lure. So I'm gonna keep working this a little bit and see if we can get another bite.